point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 665th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and the astonishing Nancy Wolf.
Thank you.
This is the show. This show is taken from my blog posts from February 26th to March 5th, and we are recording it on the 7th of March. We would normally do it on Thursday, the 6th, but this week we're doing it on the 7th. And this is energy and climate change news aggregation that goes up at my blog, geoharvey.com, geoharvey.com. And you can go to that site and look at the appropriate date. We're starting on the 26th of February. And possibly, if you're lucky, and among the 15 items you'll find there will be the one you want if you're looking to read an article. You can also go to tinyurl.com/energyweek665. E is capitalized in energy, W is capitalized in week. There are no spaces. And that will take you to just this show. And I guess that having been said, we go ahead.
Yep,
we're starting
go ahead.
on Thursday, the 26th of February. I've already got the piece up.
Yep. So this is from Clean Technica. Trump EPA, value of human life is $0.
Clean Technica's Zachary Shahan, he's the head honcho there. Quote, as I was reading through the Sierra Club's response to Donald Trump's State of the Union address last night, one line really jumped out at me. The U.S. EPA under Donald Trump has, quote, set the value of a human life to 0 when conducting cost-benefit analyses. Taxpayers, voters, you name it.
People. Don't matter. What is politics? People.
People who are in love.
People.
People.
No.
Zero.
Zero.
Zero value.
Zero value for people.
All right. Donald Trump also has been complaining in the last few days that he knows he's going to die, and he's been complaining that he thinks he's probably not going to go to heaven.
Was that what he's complaining about? Okay.
He actually has said that. He doesn't think it's very likely. He doesn't talk about what the alternatives are, but he doesn't think that's very likely. So I have prepared a very short reading from Psalm 82 for him. Psalm 82 is a super short psalm. I think it's 7 what are they called? I forget. But anyway, this goes from 2 to 4. It's very short. And what it says is, how long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. That's the quote I'm going to give. And if Donald Trump wants to go to heaven, I think that's what he should do.
Sure.
I don't know, maybe it is enough. But, all right, let's get away from that. Mm-hmm. We have a picture of a water tower in Oklahoma.
Yeah, this is from ABC News.
Yes.
How climate change is impacting drinking water in the U.S.
A study that appeared in Communications, Earth, and Environment, how's that for a magazine name, shows that climate change is making access to drinking water more difficult in the United States. Well, yes, it is. Hazards intensified by climate change like drought and flooding threaten both the quality and the quantity of drinking water, as anybody who lives in the 7 states that depend upon the Colorado River would be able to tell you. And it's drought and flooding. Well, that's mentioned, but so are fire, micropathogens, and other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water is pretty important, I'll say.
Generally speaking, water is important. I think a tardigrade could possibly do without it for a while, but I've read that tardigrades are commonly found in moss. And there's not a lot of dry moss around.
I have not seen a lot of dry moss.
Well, tardigrades are tiny. They look like a little worm that's tiny and has 8 legs that are all fat. Okay. But they can withstand, it seems like anything. You know, I mean, if you take them and put them out of the capsule and outer space and leave them there for a while and then bring them back in and take them back to Earth, they just come back to life. They'll reproduce. Everything's hunky-dory. They live at the top of Mount Everest or very near. They live at the bottom of the lowest point in the ocean. I don't know if they live in deserts, but not hot deserts anyway. Okay, should we go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
Okay. We have a picture of a downpour.
Yeah, this is from Euronews, how human-made climate change intensified Europe's winter downpours. Analysis
by World Weather Attribution looked at the likelihood and intensity of the heaviest rainfall events that most severely impacted areas in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. The report found a clear increase in the intensity of the most extreme one-day rainfall events. And I would say there's something that certainly I was unaware of going on here when I was in school. And I don't know when this came into being, but I think it's been in the last 10 years. This whole thing of attribution, where you can look at for example, a weather event, a hurricane, and you can say that house got flooded. But if it weren't for climate change, it would not have been flooded. And the reason you can do that is because, taking as an example, Hurricane Harvey, which I've used before, there were areas, large areas in Texas, neighborhoods, that had flooded houses in them, and they weren't even near 500-year flood zones. What's the likelihood of a rain event causing a flood in an area that is not near a 500-year flood zone? And in the old days, it was pretty remote. But with these new hurricanes, you can say, okay, the Gulf was warmer. Water evaporates quickly. The air was warmer. Warmer air holds the water. The air went on shore. It got hit by cold air, which causes it to dump water. Combined with that, the one other thing, which was that the storm wasn't moving very quickly, and you've got flooded areas. Well, that's true regardless if you happen to have warm air and warm water and no climate change. But it's far more likely to be true with climate change, and you can actually say, with climate change, we got more than 10% more water. And then what is the likelihood of this house flooding? And that can all be calculated. So attribution science is real. We are up to Friday, February 27th, and we've got a picture of California's Central Valley.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes, we do. And this is from Clean Technica. Largest solar farm in U.S. coming to the Central Valley in California.
According to SF Gate, that's San Francisco Gate, Golden State Clean Energy, name of a company, is developing a project that could cover 136,000 acres of farmland in the Central Valley with solar photovoltaic panels, transforming a traditional agricultural region that lacks water
Yes.
into a major energy producer over the next few decades.
I 1,000% think this is an amazing thing. I have been to the Central Valley and visited my friend in the Central Valley, and this is, they need this. They need this, absolutely need this.
Yeah, I have a little bit more ambivalence about it because I don't like the idea of farmland being taken out of use. But it can't be used because there isn't enough water. And the reason why there isn't enough water is because of climate change. And the reason why we have climate change, and this is very clear, Mr. Trump, I'm sorry, the reason why there is climate change is because we're burning things.
Yeah, we are.
So I put this note on. I think demi-lunes or semicircular buns, probably many of our viewers don't know what those are. They are holes in the ground that are semicircular. They are true semicircular. So they've got half of a circle, and then they've got the line running between the ends. The line running between the ends is at ground level. As the thing slopes, it goes down to maybe a foot and a half below ground level, and the dirt that is pulled out is stacked up on the downhill side of this, with the straight side uphill and the curved side downhill. So rainwater coming down the hill, which is not a steep hill, but it comes down the hill, will get caught in this thing, and it will gradually soak into the ground, so the ground is retaining water, which will raise the water table and make it harder for that ground to go into a drought condition. And I think that those and swales, which are just ditches that are grown, dug on a contour line a little farther up a steeper hill, can put can decrease the likelihood of drought. And in fact, they are using these things in the Sahara to stop the southward motion extension of the Sahara. However, they could have PVs installed over them.
Mm-hmm. That's really what I'm saying here,
yes.
Is that there's flexibility in this. There's the ability to do both.
Yes, and what I'm thinking is you could have a solar array with demi-lunes under it, and then just downhill from that, have some agricultural land put back into use for agriculture. So there are a lot of things. It's a huge
agricultural area. It makes so much.
Huge. It's huge. It is. And in fact, one of the things, I do research on these things every week. And one of the things that I went into was it was a fire in California in 2017. And there was a town that was burned down. And
Paradise?
No, it wasn't. It was San something. And it was a funny name for a fire. It was like Tugg, T-U-G-G. It ended with I think G-G. I can't remember what the first two letters were. But in that fire, there was something really special that happened. And that is when the fire started, and the people who lived in the area were told they had to evacuate, there was a vineyard whose name I have inconveniently forgotten also. I'm not good with names. I never have been. There was a vineyard that had just got a solar array, and it had got backup, so it could operate independently. And they had put it on a system that could be operated over the internet using, I don't think it used regular wire link. I think it was a space link. I might be mistaken about that. But the long and the short of it was they actually did run this vineyard while everything around it was burning. And they prevented it from catching fire. And it was, operating its very extensive irrigation system full time in there just to keep everything wet. And it worked. They had a bad harvest that year because all the wine tasted like smoke.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
But the point is, the vineyard itself survived. The plants survived. The buildings survived. Everything survived because they had local electricity operating locally on a local solar system, and they had done the work to design this so that it would operate properly. Okay, we should move on.
Yeah, we should.
We have a Volvo truck.
Yeah, that we do. Volvo scales up heavy trucks as profits fund zero emission shift. This is from Clean Technica.
Volvo Group is putting its strong profitability and European market leadership into the rapid expansion of zero emission trucks. And by the way, I see this in articles every couple of days. It's with electrocution at the center of its electrification, I should say. Sorry about that. At the center of its decarbonization roadmap for long-haul transport, regional distribution, and mining. And, they're doing it. There it is.
Yep.
Go on.
Yep. I'll say just one thing, which is Europe. Europe is putting its strong profit. Europe. I'll just say Europe. That's my, yeah.
Yeah, well, with stuff that's coming on later in the show, we'll have more comments about Europe. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, now we have a wind turbine installation vessel, and this ship is gigantic.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look all that gigantic, but the white structure on the top there, the superstructure, is 6 stories tall. And there's a couple of stories below that down to the waterline, and just look at those things that come up. They've got to be, I would say well over 20 stories.
So this is from Renews. Seatrium delivers next generation jackup.
Well, there it is. Seatrium has delivered a next generation wind turbine installation vessel to Maersk Offshore Wind following sea trials and final evaluations at the Tuas Boulevard Yard in Singapore. These places are all over the world. Mm-hmm. Mr. William Gu, and I'm sorry for the pronunciation of that because I don't know how to pronounce Chinese. There are a lot of languages.
Yeah, I think you probably did fine.
The executive vice, I'm sure he would understand if I didn't. Executive Vice President of Seatrium Energy said the vessel pushes the possibilities of offshore wind. You have to remember, we're getting to a point where wind turbines in excess of 15 megawatts are going up. Each one is 15 megawatts. And this is going up all the time. And then, various companies have designed wind turbines that are over 20 megawatts. And, this is just incredible. So, let's see. We're a little bit behind time here. I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah.
We're up to Saturday, February 28th, and we have offshore wind farm.
Yeah, yes, we do. So this is from Renews. Germany hits 10 gigawatt offshore wind milestone.
Yeah, Germany installed offshore wind capacity has hit the 10 gigawatt mark for this month's new turbines, or with this month's new turbines, according to data at the International Economic Forum for Renewable Energies. 3 turbines put online in the He Dreit and Borkum Riftgrund 3 wind farms. Now, I'm going to say that looks to me like Dutch, but and I can pronounce a little Dutch. They helped it reach the milestone. I should tell you a little bit about Dutch. If you hear the sentence, was kosten die Apfeln, that means how much do the apples cost, in German. In Dutch is wat kosten de appels? And you might think that this is a German who is kind of coming to your fruit cart to buy apples, and he doesn't have a really good understanding of English, but it's Dutch.
I've heard Flemish. I've also heard Flemish because I've been in Belgium. I've heard Flemish.
That is Flemish. But Belgium has several languages. French, a lot of people speak French.
But then there's Flemish, and it's hard. It's hard.
Flemish is most like, actually it's most like Plattdeutsch. And the German I gave was not Plattdeutsch.
Okay.
So it's closer to English than it is to German, but you have to know. And then there's Frisian, which is a language that of all languages is the closest to English, according to linguists. And when Shakespeare was writing, or maybe a little bit before, an English sailor and a Frisian sailor could, if they had just a little bit experience, could understand each other. Languages divide. Okay.
Yes, that does.
We have a picture of a premium flying.
Oh, yeah. So this is from Euronews.
Yeah.
Business class flights are major polluters. Is cutting them the key to decarbonizing air travel?
This it really surprised me when I found it. I mean, I should have known business and premium class are expensive in terms of carbon, but not like this. Business and first class seats are up to 5 times more carbon intensive than economy seats, according to International Air Transport Association data. Scrapping premium seating could help halve the global aviation emissions, a recent study has found. Well, and the thing that is really big, could you put that picture back up?
Yeah, let's put it back up.
If you look at this, the next seat behind the one you are looking at is not directly behind it. It's directly behind this thing that's next to it.
Yeah.
And the reason is, purpose is, so the person who is in that seat we can see can lie down, his seat leveled to flat possibly, or almost flat, coming down with his head, or her head, about level with the feet maybe of the people who are behind. And of course they do that in such a way that you don't get bothered by feet.
I mean, this is all, to me, this is just like, there's so many things I could say about this, but one is that when you create all these different divisions of classes, you're really, I mean, it's some dark stuff. And it's like so much I have to say about it that I can't say much because there's a lot.
Did you ever see the movie The Holiday? Okay. Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, Jude Law, and Jack Black, okay? And they switch houses for a week as part of a Christmas holiday. And in there is a picture of one of these seating things because Cameron Diaz is playing a very, very wealthy, successful, self-made woman. And she's going to the UK, and she takes her junk and puts it on the plane and lies down in one of these seats, and she goes back and puts her eye covers over so she doesn't get bothered by the
riffraff. Yeah.
It's like, they do this in trains too.
Yeah, it's just a lot more. It's just a lot more extreme in planes because you also just, yeah, there's such a strange thing with this because with trains, like it's not that big of a deal. Like it's not that big of a change.
The carbon emissions from trains these days are getting lower and lower and lower. They're almost as low as you can get. I mean, many trains are electrified to begin with.
I mean, you're also talking, I mean, there's just so many ways that you can slice this, but you're also talking about apartment buildings versus houses. You're talking about more people. When you're going to use carbon, you probably want to have less of it per person so that you don't, you know what I mean? Like split it up. Yeah, there's so much I could say about this.
I happen to have a relative who lives in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And has, with his wife, just the two of them, in a 6-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
It's not an apartment, it's a condo.
Yeah.
The dining room table seats 18 people.
Sounds necessary.
I have no idea. I don't go there.
Yes.
But I did visited one of that person's mansions, I guess only one mansion in Connecticut, and I just thought I was very uncomfortable there because it was so unnecessary.
Well, it's you just think about the waste.
Yep.
You just think about the waste.
Yes. Okay, we are up to here.
Yes, we are. This is from Energy Connects. China's solar power generation overtakes wind for first time.
Nope.
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 Nope. I am on the wrong one. Okay.
You are.
I am. Oh yeah. This one is way
Euronews?
more fun. This is way more fun. Okay. This is way more fun. This is from
Dakota.
Euronews,
Yep.
and the headline here is Greenpeace is facing a $345 million decision in a lawsuit. Can the environmental group survive?
Greenpeace is in a fight for its life in North Dakota's court system, where a judge decided to order it to pay an expected $345 million to an energy company whose Dakota Access oil pipeline construction drew protests nearly a decade ago. Now, I want to. It's kind of shocking.
Well,
yeah.
no, it's like, to me, I look at this and I'm just saying, well, I guess they have to protest again.
What they're going to do is appeal this. And if they go to the state Supreme Court and appeal it, and every time they appeal it, that $345 million is likely to decline, even if the appeal is unsuccessful.
Yeah, that's true.
And if they get to the state Supreme Court and the state Supreme Court says you have to pay $100 million, if that happened, they could say, okay. And if they can't appeal past that, this was something I was given in terms of advice by an attorney, fortunately not my debt, but it was part of a discussion of how these things are settled. He said, they'll pay once. This will be in installments. They might pay a second time, but when it comes to the third or the fourth or the fifth, all of a sudden they'll say, I can't pay that.
Yeah.
And then you take them to court to recover it. And what happens is the amount gets decreased again.
Yes.
And that can be repeated over and over again.
In the Rocky Flats class action lawsuit, that's exactly what happened. It kept going lower and lower and lower. And so folks in the class who were worried about their breathing and all of the, contamination, it just got lower and lower and lower. And then that's how it goes. I mean, every one of these environmental cases, that's pretty much how they go. It just gets lower,
very
lower,
often
lower, lower.
it goes in favor of whoever was doing the pollution.
Yes.
But as they say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I think in this particular case, the oil company had better not count on $345 million coming to it. Okay, we have a picture of solar, wind, and coal power.
Yes, so now I'm going to read the Energy Connects article.
Yes.
China's solar power generation overtakes wind for the first time. Second time I say it.
Yes. The rapid growth of renewables helped China meet its growing electricity demand last year without any need to burn more coal. With thermal generation falling 0.7%, that means coal, gas, and nuclear are in combination down. Well, nuclear is up, so coal and gas are down. China generated 1.7 million gigawatt hours of electricity, a lot more than Vermont did, from solar power in 2025, and that was up 40%, and surpassing wind power, up 40%.
That's incredible. That's a big number.
This is what's happening in China.
Yes, that is what's happening in China.
And there are other things happening in China that I don't like, but I have to tell you, this is...
You like this one.
Yeah. Okay, next. And I want to say about this particular photograph, this reminds me of a little village in Cornwall called Mousel, or Mousel, which is spelled Mousehole as a single word. It's pronounced Mousel, I think. I've never been there, but my father wrote a book and he talked about Mousel, which is apparently a great little village.
Well, this is from Euronews, and the headline here is, "As goals falter, can an ocean act save Europe's waters?"
At the week-long European Ocean Days event, the talk is about how we move from the Ocean Pact to the Ocean Act, a new piece of legislation due to be unveiled by the end of 2026. It's the most significant new law on the horizon for the marine environment, and the pressure is on to get it right. So
Let's try to get it right.
Yeah, I think that's all we've got to say about that.
Yeah.
Oh, chaos. Yes. Chaos.
Oh, from Clean Technica, we're at war with Iran. Buy an EV to avoid gas prices over $6.
I can say, do that anyway.
Do it.
Operation Epic Fury is underway, and the thing that they don't add here, and meeting rather a lot of resistance. The U.S. and Israel are officially trading massive blows with Iran, and Trump's stated goal is regime change. The country is at war, both Iran and the United States, and actually Israel too. Now is not the time to believe in, quote, surgical strikes, end quote. Now is the time to go out and get an EV, if you haven't already.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I support this. Very much so.
It is that this war is driving up EVs sales in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And Donald Trump is saying the Germans gave up nuclear and they gave up coal, and they're so dependent on Russia. And I was saying, dependent on Russia? They kind of also gave up Russian natural gas.
Yeah. Do you remember that, dude? It was a big deal. Don't you remember this?
It was a big deal, yeah.
Gosh.
Okay, and this is the first of 4 articles we're going to have today about this war.
Yep.
Where it's going on. Okay, we're up to March 2nd, which is Monday, and we've got an amphibious assault ship. This is obviously the second of those 4 articles.
Yep. So this is from Euronews. Oil prices rise as escalating Iran conflict spurs energy supply concerns.
Oil prices climbed on Monday morning as investors assessed the economic impact of U.S. and Israeli attacks on Iran, which triggered swift retaliation from Tehran, targeting assets in multiple Middle Eastern countries, and beyond them, in fact. Brent crude rose 6.2% to $77.38 per barrel, and this morning when I looked it was 92. And I don't expect it to stop rising.
You know, it's also quite annoying that we talk about oil as barrels, and we talk about solar and wind and all of these is about the actual power that you're receiving from it.
That's a good point. Really good point. In fact, I read an article the other day, and I haven't got it in this, but one of the things that we do is we talk about the amount of fuel when it comes to thermal whatever, the amount of fuel that's used. And we talk about the amount of energy that's produced which is exactly what you're talking about. But the thing is, there is no way they can compare. And the reason for that is because take solar panels, for example. They have a pretty low efficiency. The best on the market today are 30%. Most people who got solar panels in probably below 20%. Some of them below 15%. But the thing is, that DC power is electricity. And when you take oil or natural gas and burn it to make electricity, you're operating at peak efficiency of 35%. And do they tell you that? No. That's what it is. Fossil fuels are terrible at making electricity. And in fact, they're terrible at at driving cars, because if you have electricity...
you got a fire, like pretty much in your car all the time. You got a little fire going in the back of your car, that combustion,
Well, in a combustion engine, if it's a spark plug, you start it with the spark plug. So the fire isn't actually going all the time. Although, in some of the most efficient cars, Stanley Steamer was pretty efficient. It got 35 miles to a gallon of number 2 fuel oil and plus 1 gallon of distilled water, according to a friend of mine who drove a Stanley Steamer. I'm old. I had a friend who drove a Stanley Steamer. But he said that nobody knew how fast it could go because nobody had the courage to go that fast. But Stanley Steamers, I think they broke a record at 200 and some odd miles an hour. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, Let's go on.
Let us go on.
A wind turbine.
Yes, so this is from Renews. Vestas wins 50 megawatt Bornicke contract in Germany.
That O umlaut, in the O with 2, is pronounced almost like a U. It's
Bornicke. Okay. Bornicke.
Vestas has secured, I'm not correcting you because what you did was perfectly good for English. I just thought you'd like to know. Vestas has secured a 50 megawatt turbine order from Envia Mitteldeutsche Energie AG for the Bornicke project in Germany. I'm so glad I'm not talking German anymore. The company stated the deal covers 7.2 megawatt machines. These are big for on land. And includes a 20-year AOM 5,000 service agreement. It's expected to be put online in the first quarter of 2027. These renewable energy projects go online so fast. It's unbelievable. And they can be big projects, little projects. Pardon me, that's probably going to happen a couple more times. I always sneeze in
Well, that's how it works, right? Your sinuses get all like...
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for being considerate. Okay, let's go on.
Yes. Okay, so, bless you. This is from Renews.
Yes.
Philippines launches 3.3 gigawatt offshore wind auction.
This is. The Philippines Department of Energy has launched the 5th round of its green energy auction, offering 3,300 megawatts of fixed bottom offshore wind capacity. The department opened the registration for developers on the 2nd of March with winning bidders to be announced on the 22nd of September, according to local reports. Now, I think this might be the first offshore wind farm at the Philippines. And, you know, the Philippines doesn't really have any mainland. It's got Mindanao and Luzon and so forth. But these are big islands. But they've got thousands, literally thousands of islands, and I have no idea how many of them are populated.
That's a lot of megawatts. That's a lot of megawatts, 3,300 megawatts.
Yes,
that's a lot.
But the point that I'm driving at here is they have a lot of things that can be supported. People who don't have electricity now or who are paying, you know, if you think of Martha's Vineyard, people there were paying almost $1 per kilowatt hour. And when they got the wind farm, just 5 turbines, and not all that big turbines several years ago, the cost of electricity went down crazily to like 37 cents per kilowatt hour, which, you know, anti-wind people, pro-fossil fuel people, whatever, were saying, look at this. They get this and they're being hit with these outrageous.
It's so crazy to hear that phrase because it's not like the wind the wind exists, whether or not you like that it exists. The wind and the sun do exist. They are elements.
And I have news for you. The sun never stops shining.
Absolutely, absolutely. Does not stop, does not stop.
No. And the wind is always blowing somewhere nearby.
That's
okay,
true.
Should we go to Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday, March 3rd.
Let's go. Oh, let's go. This one. Let's go.
This picture, by the way, I should mention this, was taken in 1987. And the near ship is a guided missile, I think it's a guided missile destroyer. It might not even be commissioned anymore because it would be so old. The other one, farther on, is an oiler. Now, Navy ships, most Navy combat ships, are not big. And only the big ones and the submarines use nuclear fuel. The rest of them are all dependent on oil.
I see.
That guided missile guided missile destroyer used oil. It might have just got oil from that oiler.
Well, this one's from Euronews. Does the war in Iran prove it's time to quit oil for good?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Brent crude, a worldwide benchmark for oil prices, increased by 10% to over $82 per barrel. Again, today it's 92. The price jumped following the attack on at least 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, a 38-kilometer passage that carries around 1/5 of global oil supplies. That is around 20 million barrels every day, and it is shut down.
Yes.
And the Germans are probably saying, you know, we're really glad that we started investing heavily in renewable energy years ago when we did.
Hey, those oil prices here, hey, you know, it's like, he said he wanted to lower the oil prices. This does not lower the oil price or the gas prices. This does not lower gas prices, by the way, Trump, man.
Yeah,
this does not lower the gas prices like you keep saying you want to do. Like all the time, that's all he cares about is lowering gas prices, lowering gas prices.
He also said that he didn't want to get into any forever wars. But in order to do that, you have to get into wars that are going to be very short, and you've got to have an exit plan.
Yeah.
And as near as I can determine, they didn't have a reason to get into this war except that he felt that it could be a good idea, and he doesn't have an exit plan.
Well, no.
So
what do you think? What do you think happened in Iraq, George? No exit plan. No exit plan. We just stuck there and ruined the freaking country.
I knew that we didn't have an exit plan with Iraq. As soon as that war I was good enough, believe it or not, that I have a friend who's still alive. When I told him this war is going to last 3 days, and he said no. And he said, why is it going to last 3 days? And I said, because they're going to attack by going up the Shat al-Arab, and they're going to have to go slowly enough to make sure that they're not running into landmines, and they're going to get there at that speed, which will be about 3 days. By that time, the war will be effectively over. Now, it's going to last for a few more days after that, maybe a total of a week, because they've got to, take actual captives prisoner and things like that. But this is not going to be a long war. I told him that. I had that kind of attention focused on it that I was able to analyze it. When I realized that they had bombed the bridges and the water infrastructure for Baghdad and they had no infrastructure to replace it at hand, I knew we were in trouble. Because that meant there was no exit plan.
No.
And
just regime change.
And Trump went in to Venezuela, and he didn't even get regime change. All he got was the head of state change. And this is like, I'm just throwing up my hands.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the second one that we've got.
Yep.
And now we're up to this, which is wind turbine construction. Nordex.
Yes. So this is from Renews. Nordex wins 56 megawatt German order.
Nordex Group has received a 56 megawatt order from Qualitas. All right, Qualitas, because they pronounce a QU like it's KV. Energie Deutschland for the Wipperscheiner Höhe wind farm in Hesse. Nordex Group said the contract contract covers the delivery and installation of 8 6.x megawatt. That just means 8 turbines of 6 to 7 megawatts on 164-meter hybrid towers. Commissioning is planned for the end of 2027. I think I'll just go on.
Yeah, let's just go on.
Okay.
Yes. And this is from Renews. Vestas finishes SunZia installation in New Mexico.
Vestas has finished turbine installation at Pattern Energy's 3,500 megawatt, 3.5 gigawatt SunZia array in New Mexico. SunZia is the largest onshore wind farm in the United States and will provide power to some 320,000 households once it's connected. Does it provide water? We'll figure it out. Vestas supplied 242 of its 4.5 megawatt machines for the array. Now that's 1,089 megawatts out of 3.5 thousand megawatts. So the rest of it came from other sources. This is a huge array.
I'm just saying it's in the U.S. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. There we go. We're up to Wednesday, March 4th. Yeah. And we have a picture of a ship that does not have a bow and a stern. So
this is from Euronews. Ferries in Europe emit more CO2 than 6.6 million cars.
This is astonishing.
It is astonishing.
Ferries play a vital role in connecting Europe's islands with the mainland. We saw a Candela ferry boat operating in Sweden last time.
Yes.
And I had discovered at that time that Stockholm is apparently on 17 islands. Is that correct? They are often seen as environmentally friendly alternatives to flying. I'll explain that in a moment. But many vessels are old and polluting. In some cities, ferries are responsible for more toxic air pollution than all the city's cars, according to a study. Now, why would a ferry be an alternative to flying? Take a Norwegian fjord, and you want to get from one side to the other. Maybe it's half a mile across, maybe a mile. It's not a big deal for a ferry. You want to go around it? Well, you have to drive on that highway 17 miles to the end and then 17 miles back. So the ferry is a very convenient, very fast way to do things. Driving is extremely inconvenient. And in Norway, a lot of transportation along the areas that are covered with fjords, which is basically the entire coastline almost, is traveled on airplanes. Now what they're doing in Norway is the airplanes are electric.
Yeah, and the thing here is, well, make the ferries electric.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That ferry also reminds me of another thing. I'm sorry, I'm breaking into this. I did an inventory of American aircraft carriers at the end of the Second World War on one occasion. I found 99 of them. And then I found other people had also found 99. But then I found there were 101. And I found that figure fairly frequently, but I had really been careful about my inventory. So why were there 101? It turned out that 2 aircraft carriers were operating based in Chicago. Yeah, and operated on Lake Michigan, and they were used for training. So they didn't need any armaments and stuff like that. They didn't have to worry about escorts because they weren't going to get torpedoed by the Canadians. But one of the interesting things about these aircraft carriers was they had rudders in the bow and in the stern, so they could pivot. And they had side paddles, and the side paddles were run by steam engines that were fueled by coal, which was shoveled into fireboxes by hand. These were aircraft carriers. And this picture kind of reminds me of that. What happened was the Navy, rather than build new aircraft carriers in Lake Michigan, because there was no way to get them there, found that they had a couple of passenger ships that had been out of service for much of the Depression, and they were just waiting for better times to put them back into service. So they cut down the superstructure and gave them flight decks. And you can actually buy scale models of these things if you're willing to pay enough money.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, that ship, which has no bow, it's got 2 bridges, one in the near end and one in the stern. And the reason I say there's no bow is because when they get to the other end, the people on the bridge walk to the other end of the ship.
Yes.
And go in the opposite direction.
I think I have been on one. I've been on these before. Yep.
Okay. Here's our last article on this idiotic war.
Yes. So this is from Euronews. Iran attacks threaten GDP growth and inflation prospects.
Well, what do you expect?
It's a war.
This is not a surgical strike. And I heard somebody ask one of the heads of the government in Iran, what are you going to do if the aren't you worried about the United States invading, having soldiers on the ground? He said, no, why would we worry about that? And this reporter said, but how are you going to stop them? And he said, we're ready. And I just had chills when I heard that. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot I can say about the Iran deal and how it got messed up so badly.
Yeah.
It got messed up so badly because we messed up. because he pulled out of it. We pulled out of it, and they pulled out of it. So when you pull out of a contract.
Are you talking about the fact that the United States
pulled out of the agreement?
We pulled out of the agreement, which meant Donald Trump pulled us out. What that did was it meant that the United States had no place at the table.
No place.
Okay, I'm going to read the synopsis. The U.S. and Israel attacks on Iran pushed oil prices up, adding fresh uncertainty to a U.S. economy already facing weak hiring and stubborn inflation. Oil shot to its highest in a year, higher today.
Yep.
And stock futures are tumbling as worries build over a spreading conflict in the Middle East. Quite frankly, I am a bit surprised that the stock futures are not tumbling faster and the oil prices are not going up faster. Because the way I see this, there's no end in sight.
Well, no. And what is war but the worst environmental damage you can imagine? You're killing people and the earth at the same time. You're trying to remove life.
And in the process of doing that, you're using your energy to destroy things instead of to build things.
Yes.
And it's, all of that should be calculated. It should be in the calculation.
And also we don't calculate the environmental contamination of war. That's not in our numbers. We don't do that. We choose not to.
The United States government is placing the value of human life at
zero.
And this is extremely scary when you consider that if you're not going to put any value on human life, then all of a sudden is a nuclear bomb something that you could use as an option.
Right. If humans don't matter, then you'll just do whatever you want to.
That's right.
Without consequence, because there's not a consequence that matters to you because it doesn't matter if humans exist. Okay.
This is bad. Okay. Last story.
Yes.
And this.
It's a palate cleanser. This is from Clean Technica. The 3-wheeled solar-enabled EV from Aptera is back.
Like many automakers, the solar-powered EV startup Aptera has had its share of ups and downs. I got to tell you, it's had its share, more than anybody else, I think. I've been watching this company for over 10 years. So it was a pleasant pleasure to find that Aptera just celebrated its first vehicle rolling off its validation assembly line. It's also perfect timing considering how the war in Iran is giving EVs a new life. I should explain that car, by the way. It is 3-wheeled, which means technically it's under the law, it's a motorcycle.
Right.
But because it's got a cab, you don't need a special license to drive it. A motorcycle license will do, but so will a car license. And you don't need a crash helmet if you're in it. You can just use a regular seat belt, and that's sufficient. It doesn't have all the safety features of a car, but it does have a roof. If you look at the front hood of this thing, you can see that there's a funny pattern on it, and that is because there are solar cells on it. This car can actually charge 25 miles a day just by sitting in the Vermont sun. And let me read this. It's also, I'm sorry. This is not part of the synopsis. Aptera vehicles are targeted to cost between $28,000 and $55,000, with the initial launch edition priced at $40,000. Range will be 250 to 1,000 miles.
That's a larger range than other cars.
How far is it from here to Washington, D.C.?
500 miles. Oh, no, not 500. I'm sorry. I got that. Yeah, about 1,000. Yeah. Yeah.
You could drive down there.
Yeah.
Without stopping.
Great.
You
I have to go down there in a couple weeks, and that would be real nice.
But you can't get an Aptera in a couple of weeks.
I know.
I'm sorry. Okay, the website for Aptera, by the way, is aptera.us, aptera.us. And if you go through that site and look for them long enough, you can find yourself to an astonishing number of photographs. And this is an exciting vehicle. We are over.
Oh, we are over.
Okay. We are wishing you to have an unusually fulfilling week, and come back next time.
Come back next time.